In the spring of 1981, I was running a long line grouper fishing boat out of Georgetown, South Carolina, 31-foot BHM. Down east boat, handled the water well, drew at 4 feet of draft, deep keel. And we were fishing between 70 and 100 miles to the northeast of Murrells Inlet. And generally our trips were about 5 days, counting going to and coming from a fishing ground. On this one particular day, the ocean was flat. I had a new crewman on board that had never been out, and I had enough ice to stay up for about 3 days. And so we motored off, left at midnight on a Sunday night, and I was where I needed to start putting my drops in the water for grouper in 750 feet of water, just a little after 10 a.m. the next morning. We fished all day, and we caught my drops that I was using had 20 hooks in 200 feet, so every 10 feet I had a hook baited. And as I pulled them back, I was pulling 60, 70, 80 pound grouper, at least one every other hook, and we were loading the boat. So I didn't have enough anchor line on board, and the guy I was running for was too cheap to buy it. I motored in to 120 feet of water where all the other fishing boats were moored, so I can anchor up for the night. I had enough anchor line to hit bottom. And the next morning, we got a good night's sleep at night. We packed the fish out, and by midnight we were turned into our racks. Next morning I got up and headed offshore again, and everybody there that was anchored up, probably 6 boats, headed back in. I knew all these men, fished with them for several years. Well, when I got out, I told the weather forecast was a NOAA forecast, and they were calling for a 10 to 20 knot blow out of the northwest, which was offshore from us. And I thought, well, that's going to give us about a 12-foot sea. That 31-9 boat was pretty stable work boat. They were designed for fishing, main boats. And when I got out there, I told the boy that was with me to look for a little rough water and don't worry about it. Well, he called my attention to the fact that the antenna was bent over the mast at a 90-degree angle. And I realized then I'd been so intent on hauling these fish in that we were in some serious weather. But I hadn't gotten any calls from anybody. This wind blew up and nobody called me. It came in from offshore, so everybody I was anchored with knew at least an hour before I did that this thing was blowing up like that. I got a call from a boat called Playmate, 44-foot marine management, and he was out below Cape Fear coming in from a marlin trip. And he asked me, what are you doing out here in that boat? And I told him, he said, they're calling for 70 knot winds out of the northwest. He said, you need to get out of here. Well, by the time I got that, the seas were already running 15 to 20 feet. And there was a very good possibility I wasn't going to get back inshore, because when I turned, I had to run straight back into it. We ran back for about 3 hours to get back into the 120 feet of water, and the ocean let down a little bit, but I came over one wave that was so big it hit a 66-foot shrimp boat in the trough on the other side, and we almost hit that boat. We went down with you could see the rudder because the water was so rough. We went down behind him and back up the next swell, and that boat sunk that night. They didn't lose any hands. They got rescued. But I thought about this long and hard. You know, all of these people that I knew that I'd fished with, sport fishing, commercial fishing, for several years, Not one of them called me to tell me that storm was coming. And now, when I think about witnessing for Jesus, which I've done for the last 32 years, I compare people that don't witness, that may be the best Christians that you're around, and you may well be one yourself, but you can't bring yourself to talk to another person. You're the same kind of guy that would have let me die in that storm rather than key the mic and tell me that this thing was coming. There was no warning for us. So I'm trying to encourage people now. Give a warning. Tell people that their future is in mortal jeopardy because it's heaven or hell. And a decision has to be made. And every man deserves the right to make that decision. And it's up to us that know Jesus to tell him, no matter what other gifts you may have, if you're not sharing the gospel, you're not doing the number one thing that Jesus asked us to do. So I want to encourage people to witness. Witness like your life depends on it. And treat everyone that you talk to as a potential, a prospect, as it were. Love them into the kingdom. Some reject it, some accept it, but everybody needs to hear it, and everybody deserves to hear it, because Jesus died for every man, woman, and child that's ever been born and ever will be born until he comes back again. I'll leave you with that. Just remember, only 2 in 10,000 Christians witness for the Lord. Now, don't be one of the others. Let's try to make it 3 in 10,000 before the Lord comes back. God bless you.